Marvel built some of its biggest teams in the Bronze Age, but many didn't survive. They were hyped, loved, and followed by fans until Marvel walked away, a supernatural squad that ruled horror comics. Gone too soon, a cosmic team that once drove Marvel's space stories. Quietly forgotten. And a street-level crew promoted as the next big thing. Broken apart without warning. These weren't experiments, they were fan favorites. So which Bronze Age teams rose high, only to disappear? Here are 10 Marvel teams that no longer exist. At number 10, we've the Invaders. The Invaders first appeared in the Avengers issue 71 in December 1969, when readers glimpsed a flashback of World War II heroes standing shoulder to shoulder. In 1975, Marvel gave them their own series, The Invaders, bringing Captain America, Bucky, the Human Torch, Toro, and Namor together as an allied strike force. Their stories tapped into 1970s nostalgia, chronicling fierce battles against Nazi villains while introducing retroactive heroes like Spitfire and Union Jack. For fans of Golden Age legends, The Invaders were a chance to relive the glory days of comics inside a modern Marvel framework. The series ran until 1979, carving out a loyal cult following that treasured its wartime adventures. But as the war ended, so did their mission. In continuity, Captain America and Bucky were lost in 1945, and the remaining Invaders transitioned into the All-Winners squad. By the end of the Bronze Age, their title closed, leaving the Invaders as a team that lives only in Marvel's past. At number 9, we've the Champions. In October 1975, Marvel introduced the Champions in issue 1 of their own titles. The lineup was unusual: Hercules, Black Widow, Ghost Rider, Angel, and Iceman. Writer Tony Isabella envisioned a team made up of heroes who were not tied to the Avengers, the Defenders, or the X-Men at that time. Their adventures unfolded in Los Angeles, a fresh backdrop compared to New York, and they quickly stood out for their unlikely chemistry. Across 17 issues, the Champions fought mythological gods like Pluto and even swarms of alien invaders. Readers connected with the surprising dynamic of the group, and Black Widow's role as leader gave the series extra weight. Yet behind the pages, creative turnover and scheduling struggles mounted. In the story itself, financial troubles and conflict tore them apart. By 1978, the team was gone. Their breakup recalled in Peter Parker, the spectacular Spider-Man issues 17 and 18. The original Champions never returned. At number 8, we've the Defenders. In December 1971, Marvel Feature Issue 1 brought together Doctor Strange, Namor, and the Hulk to confront a mystical danger. The Alliance of Misfits was soon called the Defenders, and by the following year, they had their own title. Their ranks expanded to include the Silver Surfer, Valkyrie, and a revolving door of outsiders. What made them unique was that they were never bound by rules or a charter, existing as a non-team that gathered only when a crisis demanded it. Through the 1970s, their stories stood apart from mainstream superheroics. Readers still remember the epic Avengers-Defenders war and the sight of this unlikely mix fighting side by side. Their series endured for 152 issues, cementing their place in Marvel's Bronze Age. But by February 1986, in Defenders issue 152, the team faced catastrophe against Moondragon's cosmic power. With comrades lost, the prophecy was fulfilled and the founders dissolved the group forever. The next 3 teams were Marvel's strangest experiments: a forgotten wartime squad, a cosmic crew from the future, and a monster alliance born from horror. At number 7, we've the Liberty Legion. In April 1976, Marvel Premiere Issue 29 introduced the Liberty Legion in a dramatic crossover with the Invaders. When the Invaders were captured, Bucky rallied forgotten heroes of the 1940s to defend America's home front. Among them were Miss America, the Whizzer, Thin Man, Red Raven, Blue Diamond, Jack Frost, and Patriot. Together, they stood against Nazi saboteurs and the Red Skull's plots on United States soil. Their debut tapped directly into Bronze Age nostalgia, resurrecting long, silent, timely comics characters for a new generation of readers. Fans were fascinated by the chance to see obscure Golden Age figures united as a team, offering a mirror image of the Invaders' overseas battles. Yet their existence was bound to the war itself. After 1945, some members drifted into the All-Winners squad while others quietly retired. Beyond their 1976 storyline, they faded from Marvel's spotlight. The Liberty Legion remains remembered as a wartime chapter that ended with peace. At number 6, we've the Guardians of the Galaxy. In January 1969, Marvel Superheroes issue 18 introduced a very different kind of team. In the year 3007, Vance Astro, Martin X, Charlie 27, and Yondu banded together to resist the alien Badoon. Though their debut was brief, the idea of heroes from Earth's future lingered. In the mid-1970s, writer Steve Gerber brought them back into the spotlight through Marvel 2-in-1 and Defenders, and soon they headlined Marvel Presents from issue 3 through 12. Readers discovered a band of freedom fighters who felt like the Avengers of the 31st century. Their stories expanded with the arrival of Starhawk and Nikki, and one of their most memorable moments came when they time-traveled to join the Avengers against Korvac. But their series ended with issue 12 due to low sales, and the team slipped back into guest appearances. By the late 1980s, their tale had closed. The modern Guardians are an entirely new team. At number 5, we've the Legion of Monsters. In February 1976, Marvel Premiere issue 28 unveiled a gathering that readers never expected. Ghost Rider, Morbius the Living Vampire, Werewolf by Night, and the mysterious Man-Thing were thrown together to face a rising demonic threat. Each of them usually fought their own lonely battles, but in this moment, the creatures of Marvel's darker world stood united. The mid-1970s had opened the gates for horror once more, with Marvel embracing monsters under the relaxed rules of the Comics Code. Fans were captivated by the sight of these supernatural outsiders becoming a team, if only for a night. The cover shouting "Legion of Monsters" became an instant icon for those who loved the eerie side of comics, but their alliance was never meant to last. Once the menace was ended, they parted ways and returned to their separate paths. That single story remained their legacy, a one-time union etched into Marvel history. At number 4, we've the Headmen. In March 1975, the Defenders issue 21 unveiled a group of villains unlike any others in Marvel. They called themselves the Headmen, a bizarre cabal bound together by grotesque science and dark ambition. Arthur Nagan, the scientist whose human head was fixed to a gorilla's body, plotted alongside Jerry Morgan, known as Shrunken Bones, Chandu the Mystic, and Ruby Thursday, whose head was replaced by a living computer sphere. Their strange appearances and twisted experiments made them unforgettable foes for the Defenders. From 1975 to 1977, under the pen of Steve Gerber, the Headmen drove some of the strangest storylines of the era, including the theft of Nighthawk's brain. Fans could not forget their unsettling mixture of horror and satire. Yet repeated defeats weakened them, and by the end of the decade, the Headmen faded into obscurity. Members appeared alone, often for comic relief, but the group itself dissolved and never returned in force. The last 3 teams are among Marvel's most surprising: a syndicate of villains tied to the stars, a Soviet super team, and Canada's deadliest rivals. At number 3, we've the Zodiac Cartel. In January 1970, the Avengers issue 72 introduced a criminal syndicate unlike any other. They called themselves the Zodiac, 12 villains patterned after the signs of the stars. At their head was Cornelius Van Lunt, known as Taurus, and among his followers stood Scorpio, Aries, and a host of others spread across the nation. In the 1970s, they became recurring adversaries for the Avengers, Daredevil, and Nick Fury. Their power was not in strength alone, but in scale, with grand plots such as sealing off Manhattan and holding millions for ransom. Armed with advanced technology like the teleporting Zodiac Key, they delivered stories full of spy thriller intrigue. But their reign ended in tragedy. By the mid-1980s, Scorpio turned against them, unleashing android Zodiac duplicates that massacred nearly all of the human members. Even Van Lunt fell soon after during an escape attempt. The once feared Zodiac cartel was gone, leaving only its name to future imitators. At number 2, we've the Soviet Super Soldiers. In April 1981, the Incredible Hulk issue 258 introduced the Soviet Super Soldiers, a state-backed team formed to rival America's Avengers. Their ranks included Crimson Dynamo, Dark Star, Vanguard, and the massive Ursa Major. Born from Cold War tensions, they stood as symbols of Soviet strength, ready to match the West's most powerful heroes. Through the early 1980s, they clashed with the Hulk and crossed paths with the X-Men and Iron Man, giving readers stories that mirrored the superpower rivalries of the real world. They even appeared in Marvel Fanfare and Contest of Champions, proving their appeal as both enemies and uneasy allies. But the collapse of the Soviet Union ended their purpose. In the late 1980s, they defected after uncovering government deceit, and soon after, the Kremlin replaced them with the Supreme Soviets, later called the People's Protectorate. The original Soviet super soldiers faded away, leaving behind only their legacy as Cold War icons. And at number 1, we've Omega Flight. In June 1984, Alpha Flight Issue 11 revealed a new threat rising from the shadows of Department H. Called Omega Flight, this group was composed of former trainees and bitter rejects who had turned their backs on Canada's dream of superheroes. Led by Jerome Jackson and the android Delphine Courtney, the lineup included Diamond Lil, Wild Child, Smart Alec, and Flashback. Their revenge came swiftly, and in Alpha Flight Issue 12, they struck with devastating force. Guardian, the proud leader of Alpha Flight, was ambushed and killed, shocking readers and forever marking Omega Flight as one of Marvel's deadliest villain teams of the Bronze Age. But their existence was short and violent. Smart Alec's mind was destroyed, Flashback's future self was erased, and Delphine Courtney was torn apart by Madison Jeffries. By 1986, the team was broken, their members scattered or imprisoned. The villainous Omega Flight was gone, leaving tragedy as their legacy. Marvel's Bronze Age was full of wild experiments. Some worked, others vanished. Which lost team deserves a comeback? Comment down below your favorite team, like the video, also press the subscribe button and the bell icon for more videos.